Welcome, everyone. We are about to start with the webinar on teacher well-being and personality potential as drivers of learners' development, health, and well-being, which is organized by UNESCO and other colleagues. And we have an exciting program. We have many people who have registered, and we hope you enjoy what's coming next in the 90 minutes. So my name is Goof Buys. For those who do not know me, I'm the manager of the UNESCO Chair on Global Health and Education. And we're very happy to offer you this series of webinars with the UNESCO Institute for Technology and Education, IITE, with Tigran Poyan here present as well. So the questions that we will discuss during this 90-minute seminar are looking at teacher well-being, which is a key priority for education systems worldwide, of course, next to professional performance. And we know that a person-centered approach, personalized and individualized learning and education process management are the current trends in education. And education systems go beyond pursuing academic outcomes and promote learners' personality, development, health, and well-being. And we know more and more that well-being of learners, their academic and personal achievements are in relation to the well-being of teachers. And today we're going to talk about how personal and school-related factors influence teachers' well-being and job satisfaction, and how these factors in turn affect teachers' development, health, and well-being. So, in short, we will look at, and I've asked our speakers, what shapes teachers' well-being and why is it important, why teacher personality, potential, and self-efficacy matter for well-being, and who can support teacher well-being and how. So, we will learn about some teacher well-being support practices. And we have a whole lineup of speakers, which are Professor DJ Jourdan, who is the co-chairholder of UNESCO Chair in Global Health and Education. We have Yekaterina Kaustova, head of the International Program of Investment in the Future, which is a charitable foundation, and her colleague Anastasia Nogai, who is the International Project Manager of the organization. Also, we have with us Dr. Min-Chen Tsai, who is Research Manager of the UNESCO Chair, and finally Tigran Epoyan. And for those who are with us today, please use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen, and we will keep track of your questions and we'll make sure that the panelists will answer those questions if they can. So, and if not, we'll have a nice discussion, because that's what we also want, a real involvement from you as audience. So I'd like now to ask the speakers to briefly introduce themselves. So first, my colleagues from my team of the UNESCO Chair.
Didier Jourdan, I'm the co-chairholder of the UNESCO Chair in Global Health and Education. I'm a professor in education and also head of the WHO Collaborating Center for Research in Education and Health. And I'm involved together with Dr. Tsai in the iBest program, which aims at evaluating and understanding the factors that determines the health and well-being of teachers globally. Over to you, Min-Chen.
Thank you. I am Min-Chen, and I am the research manager of UNESCO Chair Global Health and Education. And my background is psychology, and my research interests focus on teachers' occupational health and health promoting school.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Katerina.
Hello everyone, I'm Ekaterina Haustova. I'm a representative of the charitable foundation Investment in the Future. This foundation is working with some charitable program about education, and I'm head of the team of Academy of Personality Potential. So it's my maybe main topic, personality potential. Thank you.
Thank you. And next is your colleague Anastasia. Anastasia?
Yeah, hello everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. Yeah, I'm an international project manager at the Investment in the Future Charitable Foundation. I work in the Developing Environment program. I will be talking about it today. And yeah, I worked briefly in the UNESCO ITE. Tigran is my ex-colleague and a current one as well. And yeah, I'm working in the field of education, used to in health education, and I'm from a background in sociology. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Anastasia. And next, please, Tigran.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. I see we have people joining the webinar from different parts of the world. Thank you very much for coming to this session. Thank you very much, the organizers, the UNESCO chair, our wonderful partners for hosting this webinar. My name was already pronounced. I'm Tigran Yepoyan, UNESCO Health Education Advisor for Eastern Europe and Central Asia.
Thank you. The first speaker will be DJ Jourdan, and together with Min Chen Tsai and DJ, you will tell us a little bit about UNESCO Chair and your work on well-being of teachers in particular, and how this is related to well-being of learners. And then Min Chen, you will present the current state of knowledge concerning health and well-being of education staff, drawing on the research with the International Barometer of Education Staff Health and Well-being. And you will not only look at challenges, but also at possible solutions. So over to you, DJ and Min Chen.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And again, I'm extremely happy to be here today to share with you some thoughts about this key issue, which is a global issue that is the health and well-being of teachers and in general educational staff. Our role with Dr. Tsai is just to set the scene, and the main content of the webinar is directly connected to the great publication of the UNESCO Institute for Technologies in Education. The webinar is inspired by these two briefings that we're going to talk about during this meeting.
Tigran, while DJ is getting back, maybe you can say a few words about the Institute and the work.
Let me say a few words about the very idea of holding these joint webinars. It was the proposal of the Institute board members. And when I say institute, I mean UNESCO Institute for Information Technologies in Education. UNESCO has several institutes working on different topics in the field of education, and one of them is about information technologies. It is based in Moscow, and a few years ago, our board members, including Professor Didier and Dr. Nicola Gray, suggested that we produce briefs with some good policy recommendations, good practice, a description of good practices from different countries on topics related to the work we're doing. And one of the key areas of our work is health and education. And this is not only in Central Asia and Eastern Europe, the region which I oversee, but it's a global work which UNESCO does. And in Paris at headquarters, we have a whole section which works on education for health and well-being, and my peer colleagues based in Asia, in Africa, support program implementation for about 40, for over 40 countries. It's quite challenging and at the same time very exciting and encouraging program. We see the results. We see how learners change, how they benefit from the information they get from good quality education about health and relationships, which also includes skills development. And at one point, I realized that I have to approach the charitable foundation investment in the future, because the foundation had a program called personality development and learning environment that fosters personality development. And I thought that this is the foundation for anything we do when it comes to health education. And this very moment, Professor
Yes.
Didier is back.
It's
and
wonderful.
It's really very good moment for you to
Yeah.
resume connection.
Yeah.
Over.
Okay, thank you so much, Tigran, for clarifying a little bit about the work of your institute. And DJ, we're really happy you're back. And please restart your talk.
I
DJ,
would like to
you are still muted.
apologize. I'm in Lomé,
Okay,
Togo,
please go ahead.
and we just had a power
That's okay.
outage, and that's why I was disconnected. It was just briefly to introduce the UNESCO chair and make clear that our vision is a world where students of all ages are ready to learn and thrive, and where in turn quality education support lifelong well-being. And to do that, we need for the students to be supported by equitable systems, motivated teachers, cross-sectoral collaboration, ethical technologies, and the key principle, which is nothing about them without them. As you can see, the teachers and the educators in general are at the very core of the vision of the UNESCO chair. The mandate of the UNESCO chair is based on 4 core activities. The first one is to contribute to the community of the people involved in education and health. The second one is about doing research. The third one is about developing training programs. And the last one is contributing to social change by knowledge transfer. And the UNESCO chair has 4 main programs that are linked to school health, community health, and also genuine participation and involvement of the communities in the education of children and young people. And of course, the mediation of digital technologies is extremely important. And that's why the partnership of the UNESCO chair with the IITT Institute is extremely important. To set the scene, I just would like to say something that for me is the key when you want to understand what are the determinants of teachers' well-being and teachers' health. There is no well-being without work well done. And in French, we say, il n'y a pas de bien-être sans bien faire. There's many different dimensions of HR management, of environment of the buildings, of organization of the school systems that are extremely important. But at the very core of what generates health and well-being for teachers, there is this idea of performing quality work, of being able to do what has to be done with the kids. That's why it's extremely important to have in mind, and this is what the other speaker is going to talk about, is that there's no distinction between the professional activity, the occupation of the people, and their occupational health and well-being. Clearly, these two things are interlinked. And among the rewards of a teacher, of course, the income is something, but the first reward is to be able to do a good job for the education of all the kids they have in charge. So meaning and fulfillment are absolutely crucial when, and this meaning and fulfillment emerge when the individuals, the teachers, can recognize themselves in work done well. This recognition is at the very core of what creates health and well-being for teachers. Of course, work well done means quality. It's meaning the professional standards. It's being able to teach what has to be taught. But it's more than that. It's also linked to the purpose. And you know, when people choose the career of teachers, they have a purpose in life, which is linked to share, to educate, and the alignment between the everyday activity and this purpose is extremely important in the well-being of teachers. And finally, this is the recognition. This is not only the acknowledgement by the hierarchy, but from ourselves and from others for what has to be done. So, to set the scene of this webinar, what's important is to have in mind that we are also talking about the professional activities of teachers, not only the way in which human resources are managing teaching workforce, not only the environment, the organization of the system that are absolutely crucial, of course, and thanks to the commitment of the administration of the union, we are moving forward. But we have to have in mind that what's behind is the question of the quality. The question is the link with the purpose of the teachers and the recognition for their job. Job well done, quality, purpose, recognition. On the top of that, to be able to do it, there's conditions. These conditions are linked to autonomy, the capacity for teachers to make the best decision for the students. The resources, it means the quality of the tools, but also the support. Think of the importance of the support service, the inspectors in the different systems that helps to reach the quality. And at the time, we are in the International Mariam School here in Lomé, in Togo, in Western Africa. And we are doing, together with other local colleagues here, training that is hybrid. It means face-to-face now and online in order to help the teachers to do their job in a positive way and to support them. And finally, there's the feedback, which is also a condition. So job well done, and all these key components, quality, purpose, and recognition, with the three key determinants that are autonomy, resources, and feedback. That's all for this introduction. I just would like to tell you that the work we are doing is based on many sources, but one of the most important is the iBest project, which is the International Barometer on Health and Well-being of Education Staff. We are engaged in the scientific committee. The iBest project is led by MGEN, which is a mutual, and the MGEN Foundation, which is a scientific entity in charge of the quality of the research specialized in epidemiology, together with Education International, which is the union of the unions at the global level, and Education Support, which is another NGO. Based on this data, we are able to offering solutions. Because, you know, a lot of people are talking about the difficulties the teachers have, about the teacher shortage, about the lack of well-being of the teachers, their health, especially in the field of mental health. What is our mission all together is to use all the data we have to move forward and to offer solution. And this is the role of Dr. Minset Sai, which is an occupational psychologist. Her specialty is teachers' health and well-being. Over to you, Dr. Tsai.
Thank you, Didier, for the introductions. Thank you. I will briefly share key insights from IBES 2023, the second edition of this international survey. Then I will use job crafting as one practical approach from challenge to possible action, and highlight its implication for both education staff and organizations. IBEX 2023 collect response from over 26,000 education staff across 11 territories on 4 continents. And the 4 territories had also participated in 2021. Most participants were teachers, mainly female, with an average age of around 44. This gives a broader picture for education staff, especially teachers. The finding highlight 5 key challenges facing education staff globally. First, inequality in access to professional digital equipment means that education staff do not all have the same resource to support their work. Second, job stress remains a major concern with a high level of stress reported at work. Third, workplace violence has increased compared with 2021, which is particularly worrying. Fourth, many participants feel that their profession is not a well-valued activity, and they also report limited career development opportunity. And finally, there are also concerning levels of negative psychological experience. Taken together, these findings highlight important challenges affecting education staff well-being, and this underline the need for greater support for them. In response, the UNESCO IITE brief explore possible practical ways forward. And one possible pathway is job crafting. Job crafting involves proactive, self-initiated change people make in their work. Research suggests that job crafting supports well-being and work quality, particularly under challenging working conditions. In this way, job crafting helps translate challenge into action, support both profession development and the protection of well-being. There are 3 common ways people shape their work through job crafting. First, task crafting involves adjusting job tasks. For example, how tasks are carried out, in what order, or using different methods. Second, relational crafting involves shaping the relationship with colleagues, including collaboration and coordination. Third, cognitive crafting involves shaping how people think about their work. For example, by reframing the meaning of their job or their role. We think task crafting is helpful to distinguish developmental crafting and utilization crafting. Developmental crafting involves developing new skills and knowledge, while utilization crafting involves making better use of existing skills and knowledge. Our interview data provide clear example of both forms. Some participants took on more difficult tasks or developed new skills from learning from colleagues and fasting time, reflecting developmental crafting. Another participant applied skills and strategies they had learned earlier in life. This illustrates utilization crafting. One participant described introducing professional learning community, drawing on an existing idea. This reshaped collaboration and enable teachers to identify each other's expertise and adjusting teaching role. This demonstrates utilization crafting and relational crafting. This shows the different forms of job crafting often work together in practice. Our interview also helped us to understanding relational and cognitive crafting. One participant shared how tasks were defined based on strengths. They took responsibility for planning while a colleague focused on interacting with the elderly. This illustrates relational crafting. Another participant reflect on becoming more mature, developing empathy, or learning to see situation from others' perspective. This demonstrate cognitive crafting. This example show how job crafting can also help people sustain their well-being and adapt the challenging situation. Job crafting is also described as a bottom-up approach. However, it's also shaped by organizational context. Research shows that leadership and organizational conditions play an important role in supporting job crafting. There are three key actions that school leadership can take. First, protect autonomy and enable flexibility. When teachers have professional autonomy, they have the space to adapt their work in ways that support their well-being and work quality. Second, minimize unnecessary administrative burden. Reducing unnecessary demand help remove a barrier and allow teachers to focus on meaningful work. Third, align recognition with meaningful work. When schools recognize and value professional, meaningful contribution, they reinforce motivation and encourage teachers to sustain positive way of shaping their work. This reminds us job crafting is shaped not only by individual initiatives, but also by organizational conditions. Job crafting is not a universal solution, but it helps us identify potential resources and practical possibility for action at both the individual and organizational level. I hope these insights contribution to our discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Min Chen and DJ, for your excellent introduction. Of course, I'm biased, but I think you really gave a good overview of the setting the scene of where we are when it comes to well-being of teachers, and the solutions you've offered are very interesting. And there's some chat going on about this. Thank you. And I would like now to continue by inviting Tigran again to talk a bit more about the publication that brought us together for today. So Tigran, just a few minutes for you, and then we continue with the next speaker.
Well, this is a real photo. This is not AI generated one. It was taken last year in Kazakhstan, in a little school, and you see here 13, 14 year old students at a health education lesson. It is not officially called health education lesson. It is global competencies lesson, but the content is about relationships. And what is your impression, the first immediate impression which you get when you look at this kind of classroom photograph? Probably the first idea which comes to your mind is about the climate, the relationships which are among the learners, and perhaps among the learners and the teacher, who have organized such an unusual lesson when students do not sit at their desks and speak one after another, but they participate in something joint which brings them together. So this idea of learning environment that supports learners, teachers, as well as parents' development and well-being became the foundation for our cooperation with the charitable foundation investment in the future. And while we do many different things together, one distinct area of cooperation is the production of good policy and practice briefs. And at this slide, you see covers of two briefs which have been already produced and published at our website and also at the foundation website and also at the UNESCO chair website. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, for putting these briefs there. So the first brief talks about, brings some cases of implementation, school health education programs, school-based health education programs, as well as programs that transform, improve the learning environment. The second brief is the one we're going to talk about today. So this is just a teaser. I'm not going to explain these fancy diagrams, but I would love to pass the word to Gulf and to Yekaterina to talk about the key ideas, the key findings which we have put together in this second brief. But before they do that, another little teaser about 3 more briefs to follow soon. How school can facilitate adolescents' personality development, interaction between educational institution and parents, which is also a huge and important area of work, and supporting educators' communities. So, with this, I want to stop and return the mic to our moderator.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tigran, for your excellent introduction. Actually, also already highlighting the 2 briefs. You, of course, at the end of the webinar, we will share again the links to these very important resources. And now I'm happy to introduce to you Yekaterina Kaustova. And Katerina, can you tell us why the authors of the brief choose to integrate personal potential and well-being into one single conceptual framework, and what can support teacher well-being and how? So over to you.
I'd like to say that I'm so proud to present our work. I could say that since its inception, the Charitable Foundation Investment in the Future has strived to help children find their inner strengths, prepare them for independent life, and maintain a balance between success and well-being. And we understood that academic progress and knowledge, of course, is very important, but for our team, from the very beginning, the personal development, well-being and health of students and teachers too have been key objectives and also indicators of educational quality. We have dedicated the last 10 years for this work, the 10 years of practice and research involving thousands of students and teachers. That's why this brief, prepared jointly with the UNESCO Institute for Information Technology and in Education, is so special for us. We've reviewed modern approaches and practices in education taken from various countries, but in many ways it also reflects our subjective, compassionate approach. The title of our brief is Teacher Personality, Potential and Well-being as Drivers of Learners' Personality Development, Health and Well-being. This is a very broad framework. Frankly, I think each of the speakers participating in our seminar today could have filled this topic with completely different, equally important content, but these parameters were chosen for a reason. Longitudinal research allowed us to measure effects dynamically and search for internal connections between the environment, child, and teacher development. And we did find such interdependencies. We also identified those characteristics of teacher development which can have the greatest influence upon child development and identify which of these we can have an effort on. I'll start from the personality potential. Next slide, please. Today, we often hear, very often, to be honest, about the advent of the AI era, which has brought about fundamental changes in many fields. I would suggest that another revolution was occurred in education, little noticed by most. Here are some signs of it. At the end of the 20th century, a group of scientists from 2 American universities published the first scientific article about EI, emotional intelligence. At the same time, the theory of multiple intelligence emerged. Along with mathematical and linguistic intelligence, Howard Gardner, the author of this concept, identified interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. At the same time, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan presented self-determination theory, which revealed the key to human motivation and influenced many areas of activity, including education. According to this theory, the center of activity is within the individual, meaning that a person is capable of self-awareness, aspiration, and the action required to realize that. These events, little noticed by the general public, had groundbreaking consequences for the education system. Perhaps this doesn't not seem significant enough to warrant talking about the revolution in education. But consider this. Only one of the most conservative fields, childhood education, has changed extremely slowly, maintaining the basic formats established by the 17th century philosopher Jan Amos Kamensky, who formulated the fundamental principles of how people learn. In 2023, the World Labour Organization declared that soft skills may be even more important than professional skills and knowledges, as they help people develop flexibly and change professions and life strategies. Something happened. And all of this marks are distinct aspects of personal potential. What is for children? It's about understanding of themselves. It's about ability to set goals and achieve them. Conscious choice, openness to change, resilience to overcome difficult life situations. Research shows that progress depends more on personality and motivation than intelligence and talent. Abilities are important, but the means to use them is more important. From a wide variety of personal characteristics, we identified some of them and used it in our brief, our research. A teacher's communication style, self-efficacy, divided into collective and individual, and social-emotional skills, which can today be considered as basic psychological literacy. Next slide, please. I'm glad to say that our findings are consistent with some of Hattie's meta-analysis results. You know, of course, this very famous research, maybe it's one of the most extensive study of factors influencing a child's success. Here you can see the example about collective self-efficacy. We think it's very important part of good quality education and good results for children and for teachers too. Next slide, please. I'd like to say that we work with our psychologist, the author of a conception of personality potential, Dmitry Leontiev, and I use his word. Personality potential is an individual's investments in their own well-being. Last year, a collection of scientific articles on well-being was established in Russia, and it had very revealing subtitle. Well-being is the new success. Well-being, health, the value of success and achievement are significant is not only their connection with academic achievements, but also their own right. There is little point in demonstrating the value of well-being, it's obvious, but the boundaries of this concept are still very blurred. The basic level characteristic of my parents' generation is concerned for physical health and safety. This is closely monitored by the educational system. Psychological well-being remains a matter of conjecture, yet sometimes a point of contention. So, next slide, please. In our brief, we present various models for understanding well-being in an educational context and do not favor one over another. There is no single unified approach. You can choose the one that works best for you. There is no single model upon which everyone can agree. Next slide, please. I hope you see 3 circles, yes? Because I don't see.
Going well, Yekaterina. As a request, if you could speak a bit closer to your microphone, please.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dov. I did it. So, in the first step, we discussed the importance of focusing on personal development, well-being, and health as educational goals. In the second step, we discuss how to achieve this. When we talk about how to ensure a child's personal development, we find ourselves in a difficult situation. Individual skills can be developed automatically through training, but what do we do when we talk about more complex issues? Is it possible to teach well-being? How can we directly increase resilience, teach openness to uncertainty, etc.? A teacher explaining how our motivation works in class is not enough to actually change anything. This development has to happen within ourselves. It's not externally controlled. It occurs through experience and through the example of others. To support a child's development, it's worth starting with the person closest to them, the teacher. A teacher is not a conduit for information, but a role model, a guide. Therefore, after 2 years of piloting the program, we shifted the focus of our efforts from the child to those around them and more broadly to the educational environment in which they study. We proceeded from the premise that we would achieve the best results if we satisfied the children's basic psychological needs and created a motivating, nurturing environment. We consider the teacher as not an instrument, but a subject. Next slide, please. I'd like to share some results of our research. I think it's very close to some points from the previous speakers. As I said before, our program was developed in collaboration with a team of scientists. From the very beginning, we began conducting longitudinal research. Our measurements focused on the educational environment, personal and professional characteristics of the teacher, the child skills. You can see it in our slide. Today we have collected and analyzed the data stemming from 6 years of research up to 2024. The scientists helped us accurately interpret the effects obtained. I will cite just a few of the results. You can see them. Participation in the program has a positive impact on teacher motivation, psychological well-being, and life satisfaction. In schools where communities of program participants have been created, indicators of work engagement, enthusiasm, and self-efficacy are significantly improved. Children characteristics such as systemic reflection, tolerance of uncertainty, motivation, self-efficacy, responsibility, and resilience can be modified. It's maybe very important results for us. By developing the skills, teachers also refine their teaching skills and positively influence the child development. We have presented various approaches to developing teacher well-being and personal potential in our brief. Some of them are aimed at development through coaching practices and training. However, individual work is difficult to replicate, involving a small number of people and depends on many factors. Therefore, today we would like to focus on practices that involve teamwork in collaboration with others. It reminds me the approach of Viktor Frankl. People do not develop in vacuum, as he thought our path to ourselves pass through the world. Next slide, please. I'd like to share one more research. It is work of international team from 10 countries, and I think it's very close to the main ideas of previous speakers and us. It's about importance of autonomy, of competence, of feeling communities. This article was published at the end of last year. You can see the name of this article, and main idea which I like to share with you: self-determination theory has generated a considerable body of evidence showing that across cultural context and levels of schooling, meeting basic psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness in the classroom is central to student wellness and contributes to higher quality engagement and performance. Today, I see so many countries, representatives of so many countries who takes part in our seminar. So for me, it is important to say that it works sometimes in different field, but with a good result. And maybe last slide, you can change impact noted by teachers is very important. We speak about evidence-based information about researchers, but sometimes it's so important to ask teachers, what do you feel? Do you feel any difference after some programs, something happened or not? And you can see the real feedback from our teachers who spoke about two focuses. What was changed with relationships with their children, with their students, I mean, and for themselves. And
Sylvia, I'm sorry. I think it's the next slide. The slide after that.
Anastasia, thank you. You can see some quotes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. What the teacher said, we managed to get close to the children. Or your course is an opportunity to understand children better. It's so important, I think. And for themselves, it's about developing the personalized educational environment, about community, about supportive atmosphere. So we think, I believe, that we should create an educational environment where relationships, pedagogical practices, and the organization of space support the development of each individual's potential, both children and adults, and promote their health and well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Katarina, for your excellent presentation and sharing the information about the personality potential, your research. And one word that I wrote down was liberation of thinking, which is really a nice concept, I think, counts for everyone also here today at this webinar. And I would like now to ask Anastasia to continue, please, with your presentation, and then we'll have time for some comments and feedback. So, Anastasia, please go ahead.
Thank you, Guf. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me today once again. Today, I will be sharing two examples of comprehensive solutions for supporting teachers' personal development and well-being. I will be continuing after my colleague Katerina. And yeah, the first such case is our work at the Developing Environment Program. Currently, it is implemented in more than 2,000 schools and kindergartens and a number of colleges and universities. It involves around 600,000 children and 36,000 educators. The program has crossed the borders of Russia and is in demand in Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, and now the partnership with Turkmenistan is being created as well. But the point I would like to make is about the personality potential development centers. We have established 221 of them currently across Russia. And I would like to say that these centers are educational organizations that have become hubs of our program that share values and principles. Now you can see the primary focus areas of the program, and Tigran also shared this before, which include training and teaching and administration, providing teaching materials and resources, implementing projects that are designed at creating a developing environment, monitoring and evaluating the program's impact, and involving families, which actually makes this a comprehensive approach. What makes our personality potential development centers special and so effective is that they integrate all or most of these elements, and which makes it a more holistic approach, which Ekaterina also mentioned before. Personality potential development centers can be general education schools, kindergartens, institutions of additional education, vocational education institutions with pedagogical specialties, and institutes of educational development. The mission of these centers is the same as our programs, is to create an environment where an individual can thrive, someone who knows themselves, achieves their goals, and remains resilient in the face of challenges. The greatest feature of the centers, in my opinion, is the people. Our ambassadors are a community of inspired, like-minded individuals who are committed to lifelong learning. You truly feel this energy when you meet them in person. And for instance, this past October, we held a 4th annual convention of the centers in Kaliningrad, Russia. And we move to a different city each year, aka different personality potential development center location, so we can meet each other in person. And in 2025, we were joined by representatives from China and all across Central Asia. I will share a clip with you from this event. And I would like to say that every year this convention becomes a vital ground for knowledge sharing and experience sharing. And as you watch, I hope you feel the incredible atmosphere that has this community. Maybe you have noticed a few familiar faces there. And we also have had representatives from Beijing Normal University there, which was a delight. So yes, as you can see, it's a community of teachers, educators, all of them get an opportunity to meet each other, which I think is a great thing in this virtual world. So yeah, it's a great example of a community. And building on that idea, I would like to move on to another idea of communities is the professional learning communities as a teacher's helping hand in creating well-being around them. PLCs, or professional learning communities, is a space where teachers share norms, discuss professional troubles, and get feedback from their peers in a safe environment. When we talk about teacher well-being, the professional learning communities are a game changer because they can reduce professional isolation that many teachers feel, increase both self and collective teacher efficacy, about which Ekaterina presented before, create psychological safety, and build resilience. And the data backs this up. Research shows that teachers in schools with active PLCs have significantly higher level of well-being, job engagement, and satisfaction than those without them. And a powerful example of professional learning communities in action can be seen in the case of 2 schools in Petrozavodsk in Russia. For a long time, these schools had ranked at the bottom of the city's ratings, and many of the students face significant challenges like disabilities or limited economical resources. And to turn this around, the school took the initiative to restructure their internal support systems, and they organized mutual lesson visits and extracurricular observations, bringing them a diverse range of specialists like psychologists, social educators, speech therapists, teachers of extracurricular activities, teachers of supplementary education, heads of section, clubs, projects, etc. Professional learning communities emerged organically. Participation was entirely voluntary. And the topics weren't imposed by the outside. They came naturally from the community experience. Groups age members in each PLC ranged from 5 to 22 members and focused on the issues that mattered the most to the teachers. I think it's incredibly important to highlight the support of the administration. They secured resources for professional growth, provided meaningful financial incentives, and provided teachers with opportunity with high-quality specialist training. And I saw that in the chat, it was previously mentioned the importance of funding. I think it's extremely important, and then in this case, funding was not possible, but the support from principals with the financial incentives is incredibly important. And And to conclude, the examples we've looked at today, from the large-scale personality potential development centers to the smaller teacher communities in Petrozavodsk, lead to the same idea. Teacher well-being benefits from the community effort. When schools create a safe environment for teachers to support one another, it doesn't just make their jobs better, it creates much better learning environment for students as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anastasia, for your excellent presentation, and also with the video that showed us some pictures of how these big events are taking place. Thank you very much. And there are a few questions in the chat, but I think they're being answered at the moment by the participants. One to you particular was, can you share some practices of these developmental programs? But you did that. Another question is that what are the requirements for an educational organization to become such a personality potential development center?
Yes, Gov, thank you for the question. Yeah, there are some requirements. For example, the organization needs to implement the developing environment program for at least a year in the organization before submitting the application. Secondly, it is important that they have been taught during our training courses. We have a lot of advanced training materials and courses within our program. So it's important that the team that is implementing the program in their institution knows what they're talking about. So having trained, it's incredibly important for us. Also, it's important for them to show the readiness to include in their curricular and activities the topics of social emotional development, personality potential, developing environment, and just have a motivation behind the submission. So yeah, these are some requirements. Basically, we have a little bit of screening beforehand, so we know that they're familiar with the idea, which is very important. And then it's all about the inspiration and motivation. And you can see in the clip, it is incredibly, they're incredibly inspired. It's great to see how like their eyes light up when they see each other. It's great to see.
Yeah, great. And there's a question actually in the Q&A by our colleague Roberto from Brazil. He has two questions. So one is, are there examples or evidence of programs that are based on the bottom-up approach? And the second question is, are there any prospects for research projects on South American countries, in particular Brazil? Anastasia.
I think it's more of a question to Katerina, but
to answer.
If you can.
Okay.
Actually, maybe 4 years ago, we didn't think about any international project at all. But we were surprised that it could be interesting for our colleagues from some Asian countries. And now we have like a club, I can say, with participants from 7 countries. Who knows, maybe one day it would be possible for us to work with Brazilian partners. We are open for it. Now we are preparing for first experience of teaching teachers in English. Before we did it and continue right now to teach teachers, but in Russian more. So.
That's a great point. I would like to continue the point of Ekaterina about assimilation to the culture and language backgrounds. We have faced, I work with Central Asia mostly currently, and we have faced issues around students and teachers not knowing Russian. Although Russian is quite a main language there, it has, like, the time of the USSR has passed, and the native languages have become main languages. And unfortunately, this is quite a limitation for us. but we try to work with the organization in terms of translation. It's a very important task for us. It's not an easy one because educational organizations do not often have a very wide range of resources for like wide translation of our materials, but we're trying. It's a great task for us, but in Fergana, Uzbekistan, for example, we're implementing the project for translation, and in Kyrgyzstan as well. So yeah, it's work in progress.
Yeah. And in top of that, I know that from my own experience, that the concept of health promoting schools is very well developed in your part of the world. And can you give some examples of how your initiative is related to this concept or integrated into the health promoting school global movement, I would say?
May I jump in at this
Yes,
point?
of course, Tigran.
Well, we haven't purposely linked the work we're doing to health promoting schools. We mostly focused on working with the ministries of education, regional education authorities to bring teachers, train teachers, provide them with teaching and learning materials to deliver a health and relationship education in the classroom. And when we started working together with the foundation, we initiated a conversation about the educational environment, and we saw a big interest towards this discussion, and learners' well-being through education environment transformation became very dear to many partners. They even developed in some countries advanced training programs at teacher training universities. However, this coming days, on February 26th, there will be a kind of new beginning for health promoting schools. And WHO European Regional Office will hold this meeting, and my good colleague and friend from headquarters UNESCO, Xavier Hospital, will speak there a little bit.
Yeah.
As we have been working on the global standards for health promoting schools years ago. And even before that, I was privileged to meet and work with GUF, who was traveling across the entire region and promoting this very important concept.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks for illuminating on this part. And I'm asking Sylvia, were there any questions in the chat or in the Q&A that we have missed? Because we still have all our distinguished speakers here, so this is the opportunity, Sylvia.
Well, there were a few questions in the Q&A which I saw DJ reply to, but maybe it's good to also talk a bit about this, and it's especially linked to being a teacher in developing countries where there's huge classes, and how to implement these principles in those contexts.
Yeah.
This is a crucial question. You perfectly know when you're a teacher and you have 60 kids in the morning and 60 other kids in the afternoon, the pressure is extremely high. So of course, there's no magic wand in that. For me, the key word in my experience here in Lomé and in other African countries is that it's only the alliance of the institution, of the professionals themselves and their representatives, especially the unions and the communities, including the family, that can contribute to influence to the determinants of teachers' health and well-being. Be aware, and it's interesting, that the difficulties of the teachers and the level of stress is not only linked to the actual conditions, the actual teaching conditions. It's a key determinant, but it's only a determinant among others. In terms, for example, of recognition, in many rural regions, the level of recognition of the teacher has a very important impact on its well-being. So clearly, it's a question of alliance. There's absolutely no solutions. Every country wants the best for the kids, but of course, the means are not always here. So trying to build an alliance to make the most of what we have for teachers and students in the real life. Over to you.
Thank you. Katrina, you would like to comment on this from your perspective?
We have a really close experience and see what would be the most important for any schools. It doesn't matter. We speak about big schools, successful or very small in some villages. Really, what is really important is working with team, administrative team, pedagogical team, and share maybe at first values of what we do, values of professional achievement, professional development, and feeling that it's could be successful in different ways. So for us, maybe three points is the most important. You know, I can share the result of our longitudinal research. You can imagine such situation. For example, we'd like to help children to develop, but we can do it through the behavior of teacher, his teaching style of communication. But after that, we should remember about some personal characteristic of teacher. And our scientists found the connection between good results of children development and some characteristic of teachers. It doesn't work directly. We can't influence to children directly, but we can help teachers. 3 points became more the most important in our research, but maybe it's more really resilience, responsibility, and self-efficacy. And we could work with it only if we speak about community, about some environment where teachers feel quite confident. So we try to organize work with our team to help them to develop these points, and they can help children. We believe it works.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would like to add as well.
Yes, go on.
Yeah, I just would like to add that about the overpopulation of classes. I am originally from Turkmenistan. I was born there, and I myself have experienced the problem of overpopulation. I remember being in class and seeing that teachers like huddle around the entrance and divide class into two, because we have been from the beginning of our first year been in the class with like 45 students with one teacher. And it was like very crowded, very stuffy in the classroom. The environment was like physical environment, so spatial environment wasn't horrible. And they were just like trying to come up with the solution to change that. And they found somewhere an additional teacher, and it was like, it was not a systematic approach like at all. And I just would like to express my gratitude and admiration for teachers who work in that environment. Because we as a program come to them, and for example, we visited a village in Kyrgyzstan a year ago, and we come to them and say like developing environment, like personality potential development, and they don't have running water. Like the school doesn't have clear water. They just have like not work toilets that don't work. And although these are the limitations, it is so great to see light in their eyes. They're interested in what we have to say. So like their perseverance and inspiration and motivation for actual change is incredible. So I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful for teachers all around for being so inspired and incredible.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for adding this. Tigran?
Well, I think all the key points have been already voiced. We understand how complex is the work of the job of the teachers, their work, and the fact that they work in very different environments. However, as Anastasia has just brought a few examples, even in difficult situations or even in very light situations, you still can do something which doesn't require a system change, which doesn't require a decision to be made at the most senior level. But what you really need is a community of supporters. One single teacher can become the catalyst of a transformation, but he or she needs peers who would support her or him. And of course, engagement of students, engagement of parents, school administration, and then these little miracles would take place. So good quality education is still a dream for many, many, many people around the globe. But working together, we can make it a reality.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, in collaboration with all the presenters today, we have tried to summarize a kind of slide on what actions we can take across the systems to maximize teacher well-being. So actually, these are 5 points. First is the national education policymakers. They can acknowledge that teacher, professional and personal development, along with their well-being, are among the most important factors influencing the education process. Second is the national and local education leaders that can foster a positive environment for teacher well-being, involving them in collective decision-making, considering their perspectives on a wide range of school management issues. Then the educational institutions themselves, they can implement interventions that are evidence-based, like we suggested in this webinar and in the briefings that were presented today, to support the well-being and performance of teachers and staff, which will impact, of course, also the overall effectiveness of the institution. That's the win-win. The professional learning communities that can encourage teachers to actively engage in collaborative activities, relationships we know, and social support are very important to influence the well-being and job satisfaction. And finally, parents and students, they can also activate for the well-being of their teachers, knowing that it will improve the school community's overall well-being. Okay, one of the speakers would like to add to this summary?
Just one thing, please, my friends. We all strongly believe in education, and to reach the objectives of 2030, as we said, we miss 44 million teachers. Thinking about this question, of teachers' health and well-being is, of course, one of the key determinants of academic and educational success of students, but it's also one of the key factors that could change the present dynamic in the teacher recruitment. We need to invite all of us, young people, to become teachers as we are, because we need them. You cannot change the world without teachers. And of course, you cannot change the world without healthy and happy teachers. So for me, the key issue is not only what happens in the classroom right now, but to the young people, we need to show that teachers can thrive in their occupation to attract the young generation. And intergenerational teams are the most efficient teams of teachers in the world. So just do it. Over to you, Rolf.
Yeah, well, you could have summarized it better, DJ. And I want to thank all of you participants of staying with us for this 1.5 hour, despite some technical issues we had on the way. But it's still amazing that you stayed and that we really are all engaged in this collective endeavor to make education better for our students, for our kids, and for our teachers. I want to thank in particular our colleagues from the Institute, Yekaterina and Anastasia, for excellent work. And I really hope that through the presentation of the 2 briefings that you presented here, we'll have a wide audience. I want to thank Tigran for taking the initiative for this webinar, happily supporting this. And I want to thank Min Chen for your excellent presentation with DJ and we will share all the information on our website, including the presentations and the resources. And as you can see, there are still colleagues using the chat from Cluj this time. I was there recently, also working very hard on teacher well-being in Romania. So thank you, everyone, and have a good continuation of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Chair, and thank you to Sylvia, who works behind the screen
Sure.
to make sure that this all happens.